So right now, as Leslie continues to settle and integrate, I would like for us to be a reflection team. This is for our learning, for Leslie's learning, and for the ACEP community that may have access to some of this material as well. I demonstrated a spontaneous and bumbling into doing cross-cultural work using our energy psychology methods, and what it means is yet to be fully shared or disclosed. And part of that meaning making is in our own reflections on what we witnessed. So I'd love to hear from anybody who would like to share.
Actually, Reginald, do you want to go first since you're up here in the energy field?
You were right in it, yeah.
It was very refreshing for you to be honest about the situation of the turmoil of being a Caucasian, a white Caucasian, in this world of so much turmoil right now, and for you to acknowledge the injustice that of your ancestors, and really going in and wanting to do the work of wanting to know the truth versus what history has told you was remarkable, and for Victor to be able to facilitate that from his background of understanding from an African American point of view to assist a white privileged person to be okay with being themselves, how moving that was from a racial standpoint in my eye. You know, here it is coming back to assist one to be okay with what one has done wrong, when that person has experienced from intergenerational the pain of your ancestors, to come back to offer you love and compassion to help you heal from your ancestors. I thought that was pretty powerful and healing, even on my part, to be able to give a little bit of okay for the growth that needs to happen with others to accept themselves and actually what is really going on in this world today, and not be such a, you need to change right now, but allow to meet them on their terms of how they can assist themselves with moving forward to assist others in being okay in this planet. So thank you for being willing to be vulnerable at this particular point in time, and Victor, thank you for assisting her to the place where she needed to go, and holding that space for her. Yeah, it was pretty magical.
I want to really thank you, Victor, and honor you for all the personal work that you've done to be able to be in this space, to be able to facilitate the healing process that I witnessed today, and just really honor you and your journey and all the emotional labor over years of time to be sitting where you're sitting today. And I think that's really part of like watching the process, what I was feeling into of just the incredible work that it takes, the incredible work that you've done to be able to facilitate such a process.
Can I piggyback on that? For you, Ava, she's absolutely right. For you to be able to be that space means that you've done some really hard work on yourself to be able to hold that intention without allowing yourself to be traumatized again. It shows volumes of the individual you are and the movement of energy that you really are. And I had spoken to you earlier about the ability that you have to see people for their spirits and not so much for their gender or their race, but you truly see people for their spirits. And that shows that you've gone deep, deep within inside yourself to be able to view people from that standpoint. And I thank you, because this is what this world needs to make that transformation. From all of us, we need to do that kind of work, to be that space of being able to view everyone as a spirit and treat them as a spirit and honor them as a spirit, and not honor them as a woman or a man or a black or a white, but as the true infinite spirits that we are. That is a blessing.
May I suggest that that we don't separate ourselves from our historical stories. If we have a gender, that gender is part of who our soul is. If we have a race, it's part of who he is. But none of those differences diminishes our intimate kinship. That's it's like our being of different histories, different backgrounds, different complexities of benefiting from or being wounded by historical harms. That can be a part of who we are, and we can build our kinship, connection, solidarity, and human culture fresh in this moment. And part of the reason I wanted to do exactly what I did is to challenge white people, white clinicians, white practitioners, to be culturally competent. I can be culturally competent in the clinical care of white people, even about issues of white identity, white privilege, and the traumatic racialization and erasure of history that white people are often caught in. And so I would challenge white clinicians to take the time and do the work that it would require for you to be powerfully of service to any of the folk that of color or people of difference that could come into your practice, because difference is not a barrier to kinship. Difference is not a barrier to effective and competent clinical care.
I think the most profound thing that I realize is that you're letting me be your little sister isn't about yo bro. It's about kinship. It's about family. It's about I can kick you in the shins.
Yeah.
And that's heartfelt, and I can't say enough how much that touches me.
Kinship has immunities. It has rights, like kicking a big brother in the shin, and it has responsibilities that any needs in the family is our needs. It's not other people's children. It's not other people's needs. It's ours. Yeah. You had a word.
So what I felt watching you working so artfully and with such kindness and connection was what a rare thing it is to have that gift, and you named it as a gift that was not your responsibility, to help Leslie work through her very genuine pain. And my own sense is, as someone who's trying to learn how to do this work as well as I can, then when it comes from a core of I can accept myself, I'm not guilt-driven, I'm not stricken in such a way that it pollutes my sense of being able to connect across barriers. You were giving her that kind of a gift, and I think you were receiving it in a way that really helped. this is the work we want to be doing as well as we can figure out how to do it. So I so salute you in what you've found a way to do, and I so hope that these kinds of skills can be shared widely and people like you can find a core of okayness, which I think makes people stronger and more able to do good work.
I have a question for you, since you have the mic, and there would not be an alive diversity and inclusion committee within ACEP, but for your initiative. So thank you for taking that step, and I want to ask you why you did that.
Good question.
So what happened to me was, after running a medical clinic for many years and being an activist on behalf of, women essentially, using only a medical model really and a model of education, health education, I discovered EP modalities through an employee, our director of counseling, who got me to EFT training, got me to an energy psychology training. Then I had the enthusiasm of a convert. These modalities really help people, and they really help people that are very stressed, and they help people that don't have a lot of resources. And it's like, this is what drives me.
Yes.
This is what drives me. This is how I find meaning in retirement.
And what's important about the spirit of diversity and inclusion infusing all the areas and corners of the ACEP world?
The ACEP world has so much to learn by being more inclusive. We're sort of like a little isolated island in a sense of largely white, middle-class, well-intentioned people. So the more we are connected, the more we grow, the more we learn. I'm not sure I can be articulate enough about this, but I feel it very deeply.
Yeah, and I thank you for that work, because if you had not taken the initiative, then you wouldn't have wound up in Berkeley across a lunch table for me, and I wouldn't be here. I would still be thinking about coming here someday. So I want to thank you for letting me know face to face that diversity and inclusion is important at ACEP, because that's why I said, I want to go.
No, and I feel the need to say it was important to me to take this direction and take leadership in this direction, but also it's important for me to say that even though I think I've worked on these issues, a turning point for me was Tim Wise, White Like Me, like understanding white privilege a little better, but I so much am learning from the committee. So I think, oh, here's a good idea, and then I talk with the committee and they say, well, don't hurry, let's think this through. So collectively as a group, we are so much more wise and I think strategic. So I'm extremely optimistic that through this committee and other people in ACEP, good things are happening. Good things are happening now and will continue to happen.
Yes. I so much want to hear, because from you too, Corey, about why the diversity and inclusion work at ACEP is meaningful and important to you, what personally, but why you think it's good for ACEP as well.
So the more that I do my personal work and my professional work, I realize that the core of what I do, and that I think that maybe all of us are doing, is about interconnectedness and liberation. And diversity is at the foundation of that. That our liberations are all interconnected. We're interconnected on every level. And if we're, the bigger our circle is, then the more we're embracing all those layers of interconnectedness.